Some coins sit in your pocket change, unnoticed, while others quietly appreciate in value over time. Today, we're revealing the rarest and most valuable Kennedy half-dollar coins that could be worth a small fortune. Stick around for the surprise that will leave you stunned. In 1776, a group of brave visionaries gathered in Philadelphia to forge a new path. With the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the United States of America was born. Fast forward 200 years to 1976, a year bursting with pride and patriotic celebration. The country was alive with fireworks, parades, and a deep reflection on its history. To honor this monumental occasion, the Bicentennial of American Independence, the U.S. Mint introduced a series of special commemorative coins. Among them stood the Kennedy half-dollar, redesigned for just this occasion. Though millions were produced, only a handful would go on to become truly special, and one, in particular, the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark, would eventually gain the attention of collectors across the globe. At a glance, it looks familiar. The obverse features the stoic profile of President John F. Kennedy, his gaze forward, symbolic of progress and leadership. His image had adorned the half-dollar since 1964, following his tragic assassination. But in this commemorative edition, there was a unique twist. Beneath his image, instead of a single year, were two, 1776 and 1976, a subtle but powerful reminder of the country's long journey from revolution to modern republic. The reverse side diverged even further from tradition. Gone was the presidential seal, in its place stood Independence Hall, the iconic building where the Founding Fathers debated, wrote, and eventually signed the Declaration of Independence. This building, rich in symbolism, became the perfect tribute to a nation's enduring ideals. The coin came out of the Philadelphia Mint, which famously does not use a mint mark. It was one of hundreds of millions of half-dollars produced that year. At the time, the coin was primarily circulated as everyday currency. It passed from hand to hand in lunch lines, at gas stations, in grocery stores, an everyday reminder of American pride. To most people, it was just 50 cents. But not every coin struck is the same, and that's where the magic begins. The production of coins, especially during high-demand years, often results in subtle variations. Slight shifts in the dies, unexpected die breaks, striking pressure inconsistencies, all can result in coins that look just a bit different than the rest. For collectors, those tiny deviations are everything. They can mean the difference between a common coin and one worth a fortune. The 1776 to 1976 no-mint mark Kennedy half-dollar, in pristine condition and with precise, flawless striking, became increasingly difficult to find over the years. Coins that escaped the wear and tear of circulation, that retained their original luster, began surfacing in private collections and auctions. These weren't the ones tossed in change jars or lost between couch cushions. These were the coins that had been noticed early and preserved, often unknowingly, by someone who simply liked the way it looked. Over the decades, collectors and dealers alike began to appreciate the significance of this special bicentennial issue. While many were minted, only a fraction remained in high-grade condition. As coin grading services began to assign mint state scores, collectors started to realize just how rare a true gem of this coin could be. Most fell within average circulated grades, showing signs of scratches, nicks, and fading. But a few, very few, remained near perfect, with crisp edges, full details on Kennedy's hair, and sharp architectural lines on Independence Hall. What added even more mystery and appeal was that some of these coins were struck using exceptionally clean dies, resulting in coins with brilliant, clear finishes. A few coins exhibited what's called full bell lines on the reverse design, a feature that die-hard numismatists know adds serious value. The quality of the strike, the condition of the coin, and the absence of any mint mark combined to create a perfect storm of desirability. The Kennedy half-dollar had already been beloved as a tribute to a fallen president, but the bicentennial edition carried layers of historical emotion that made it even more compelling, and so, the coin that had once slipped through vending machines and across bar counters slowly began its transformation. From currency to collectible, it became a relic of a celebration long past but still cherished. The 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half dollar without a mint mark found its place among collectors, not just because of its beauty, but because of what it represents, a blend of American history, artistry, and serendipity. Most of these coins are worth only face value today. But there's an exception. A single coin, preserved flawlessly, struck just right, authenticated and graded at the highest level, captured the attention of collectors and investors alike. Its surface gleamed without flaw, its details sharp enough to tell a story without words. It became one of the finest known examples of the 1776 to 1976 no-mint mark half dollar in existence, and it was at an exclusive auction, where collectors from around the world gathered, that the true value of this coin was revealed. After intense bidding, this single Kennedy half dollar, once worth only 50 cents, sold for an extraordinary price. That coin, untouched by time, an icon of American celebration and numismatic rarity, fetched an astonishing $161,000. So the next time you come across an old Kennedy half dollar in your drawer, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history far more valuable than you ever imagined. Sometimes, it's the smallest details in the most ordinary objects that carry the greatest worth. Up next is a coin that carries the face of a beloved American president and the weight of a turbulent, transformative time in U.S. history. The year was 1972. America was in the heart of the Cold War, the Vietnam War was still ongoing, and at home, the country was navigating waves of cultural, political, and economic change. Amidst all this, in pockets and wallets across the country, circulated the Kennedy half dollar, an iconic piece of currency that honored a leader whose memory still loomed large in the nation's heart. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar was part of a series that began in 1964, just months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Designed as a tribute to his life and legacy, the coin featured a striking profile of Kennedy on the obverse, sharp, solemn, and dignified, with his hair swept back and eyes gazing into the future. For many Americans, it was more than just currency. It was a way of remembering, a daily reminder of a time filled with both hope and heartbreak. By 1972, the half dollar had become a familiar sight, but the specific no-mint mark version from the Philadelphia Mint carried its own subtle uniqueness. Unlike coins struck in Denver or San Francisco, the Philadelphia Mint traditionally did not use a mint mark during that period, leaving its coins unmarked and slightly more mysterious to those not in the know. Millions were struck, yes, but most were used, worn, and forgotten, just everyday tools of trade that lived brief, utilitarian lives before disappearing into coin jars and drawers. The design remained largely unchanged from the earlier years of the Kennedy half. The obverse proudly displayed Kennedy's profile, while the reverse featured the presidential seal, an eagle with a shield on its chest, holding an olive branch in one talon and a bundle of arrows in the other. Above the eagle, a ring of stars formed a powerful visual that echoed the seal of the President of the United States. It was classic, bold, and rich with symbolism, unity, defense, peace, and power. Despite its beauty, by 1972, the half dollar was already starting to vanish from everyday use. Inflation had eroded its purchasing power, and the coin was becoming more of a novelty than a necessity. People would set it aside, unsure whether to spend it or save it. As a result, many Kennedy half dollars ended up tucked away, forgotten in piggy banks and dresser drawers. Most of those coins, when rediscovered, were worn from use. A few were spared that fate. A few remained in uncirculated condition, untouched and flawless, preserved by chance or intention. And it's those few that have become the obsession of collectors. The value of any coin depends on a number of key factors: rarity, demand, historical relevance, and most importantly, condition. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar without a mint mark isn't particularly rare in raw numbers, but finding one in near-perfect condition is a different story altogether. Coins that have not been circulated, that still show every detail of Kennedy's hair, every feather on the eagle's wings, every tiny line and edge undisturbed, these are the gems. And when such a coin surfaces, its value skyrockets. But there's more. In the world of numismatics, error coins are pure gold. A 1972 Kennedy half dollar that was struck improperly, a double die, a misaligned die, a striking pressure error, or an off-center strike, can be exponentially more valuable than a perfect standard issue. Collectors pay close attention to detail, searching for coins that deviate from the norm in just the right way, and so, one specific 1972 no-mint mark Kennedy half-dollar became a legend. It wasn't just in great condition, it was exceptional. Graded at an extraordinarily high level, it stood as one of the finest known examples of its kind. The fields were clean, the luster radiant, and every element of the design was preserved as though the coin had just left the press. It became a showcase piece, admired for both its beauty and its perfection. When it went to auction, it wasn't just coin collectors who were watching. Investors, history enthusiasts, and even casual hobbyists kept their eyes on the bidding. The room was quiet, the tension built, and then the bids began. With each raise, the anticipation grew. And finally, after several intense minutes, the hammer fell. That simple, silver-toned half-dollar, once worth just 50 cents, sold for an astonishing $156,000. So the next time you see a Kennedy half-dollar, take a closer look. Check the date. Feel the weight of history in your palm. Because what looks like ordinary change might just be an extraordinary treasure, one with a story, a legacy, and a value far beyond what's printed on its face. Up next is a coin that, at first glance, might seem like just another relic of the past, a quiet, forgotten half-dollar tucked away in an old drawer or maybe rattling around in a jar of loose change. But this particular coin, the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark, is far more than ordinary. It's a bridge between generations. A silent witness to a nation in transition. A coin that, against all odds, went from being worth just 50 cents to becoming a symbol of history, craftsmanship, and staggering value. Let's step back to 1979. America was at a crossroads. The echoes of the 60s were still fresh, the civil rights movement, the space race, the haunting memory of President Kennedy's assassination. The country was grappling with inflation, energy shortages, and foreign policy tensions. Yet, even amidst all this unrest, there was still something steady, something consistent, the coins in people's hands. And among them, the Kennedy half-dollar continued to carry weight, not just in metal, but in meaning. Introduced in 1964 as a tribute to John F. Kennedy after his tragic death, the Kennedy half-dollar quickly became more than a denomination. It became a patriotic symbol, something that carried emotion, not just economic value. People kept them not because they were practical, half-dollars had already begun to fade from daily use, but because they meant something. They were part of a collective tribute. By 1979, the design was familiar, but still commanding. On the obverse, Kennedy's portrait, youthful, idealistic, resolute. The details in his hair, the calm strength in his gaze, the dignity in his expression, all carefully engraved by Gilroy Roberts. Above him, the word "Liberty" stood proud. Below, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date, 1979. Flip the coin over, and the reverse features a bold rendering of the presidential seal. The eagle, wings outstretched, clutching olive branches in one claw and arrows in the other. 13 stars encircle the bird, symbolizing the original colonies, and rays of light burst outward, giving the image a sense of motion and strength. Now, what sets the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar apart isn't just the design or the year, it's the subtle, often unnoticed absence of a mint mark. While most coins are branded with a letter, a small D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, the ones made in Philadelphia had no mark at all. To the untrained eye, it might seem like a flaw or a mistake. But to coin collectors, that missing letter is everything. It signals origin. It adds rarity. And, more importantly, it adds mystery. Millions of these coins were minted. But only a very small number were preserved. Most entered circulation and were quickly subjected to the rough rhythm of everyday life. Dropped, stacked, exchanged, worn, their fine details slowly fading. But a few were spared. Maybe they were pulled straight from the mint in perfect condition. Maybe they were saved by someone who saw more than just metal in the coin, someone who saw history. Time is unkind to coins. Every scratch, every rub against another surface, every sweaty palm leaves a mark. And so, to find a 1979 Kennedy half-dollar in pristine, mint state condition is incredibly rare. The shine, the sharpness of each feature, the original luster, these things are fragile. They disappear fast. Which is why collectors get so excited when one appears, perfectly frozen in time, like it just rolled off the press, but there's more. Some of these coins also came with something special, an error. Maybe the coin was slightly misaligned. Maybe the die shifted during the strike. Maybe the metal planchet was flawed in a way that created a unique pattern or imperfection. These errors weren't intentional, but in the world of numismatics, they're gold. When a coin is both flawless and flawed in just the right way, it becomes a one-of-a-kind treasure. One such 1979 Kennedy half dollar, minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark, was recently discovered. It was immaculate, untouched, uncirculated, with mirror-like surfaces and full details. And it bore an incredibly rare die anomaly that made it even more special. The coin was graded among the finest ever seen of its kind. For collectors, this wasn't just a coin, it was a time capsule. A shining silver echo from the past. As it made its way to auction, the buzz began. Coin collectors, investors, even history enthusiasts kept a close eye on the bidding. These kinds of coins don't come along often. They're the result of time, preservation, luck, and a bit of destiny. As the bidding began, the numbers started to climb. First slowly, then rapidly, as collectors recognized the chance to own something truly exceptional, and then it happened. The gavel fell. The room paused. The final price was locked in, that single 1979 Kennedy half dollar, no mint mark, perfect in every detail, carrying the weight of history, preserved for over 4 decades, sold for an astounding $147,000, all from a coin you might have walked past. One you might have thought was just spare change. So the next time you come across a coin, take a second look. Examine the year. Notice the details. Feel the weight of what it might represent. Because buried in the ordinary, hidden in the folds of the past, may be something extraordinary, a piece of American history that just might change your future. Next rare coin. In the world of numismatics, certain coins stand out not just for their design or rarity, but for the stories they tell. The 1982 USA Kennedy half dollar minted in Denver is one such coin. At first glance, it may seem like just another half dollar from the 1980s, but a deeper look reveals something much more significant, a coin that has weathered time and circumstance, becoming a collector's dream and a treasure for those who appreciate the history embedded in each shiny surface. The year was 1982. The United States, like much of the world, was adjusting to a changing economic landscape. The country was in the midst of political shifts, economic challenges, and global tensions. Yet, in the midst of all this change, certain constants remained. One of those constants was the coinage circulating in everyday transactions. Among these was the Kennedy half dollar, a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, who had been tragically assassinated almost 2 decades prior. Introduced in 1964, the Kennedy half dollar was an immediate success. It honored a beloved president whose legacy was still fresh in the minds of Americans. The coin featured Kennedy's profile, a fitting tribute to the leader whose vision inspired a generation. By 1982, the Kennedy half dollar was still in circulation, though less frequently used in everyday transactions. The U.S. Mint was producing fewer of them, and half dollars had largely faded from common usage. The Kennedy half dollar had begun its quiet journey from a tool of everyday trade to a more symbolic, collector's item. However, what makes the 1982 Kennedy half dollar particularly intriguing is its mint mark, or rather, the absence of one. Mint marks, which tell collectors where a coin was struck, typically appear on the reverse side of U.S. coins. For the 1982 Kennedy half dollar, the coins minted in Philadelphia, unlike those minted in Denver or San Francisco, were not marked with a mint symbol at all. While the absence of a mint mark might seem like an oversight or imperfection to the casual observer, to a collector, it is a significant detail. It is part of what makes this coin, particularly in excellent condition, such a valuable find. The Denver Mint, responsible for producing the 1982 D coins, has always been known for its high-quality production, but by this time, half dollars were becoming increasingly rare in circulation. Most Americans had moved on to smaller coins for their day-to-day purchases, and the Kennedy half dollar became something of a collector's item, pulled out of circulation by those who recognized its historical value. While many of these 1982 coins were indeed struck in large numbers, the majority of them quickly entered circulation and suffered the wear and tear of daily use. However, a few coins survived unscathed. These well-preserved specimens would soon be the focus of eager collectors seeking to hold onto a piece of U.S. history. The beauty of this coin lies in its preservation. Coins that were kept in excellent condition over the years, far from the rough treatment of everyday use, are extremely rare. Most coins from 1982 show signs of wear, but some of the 1982 Kennedy half dollars stand out for their extraordinary preservation. A coin in mint state, where it is free from scratches, blemishes, or fading, holds far more value than one that has been circulated extensively. And this is where the 1982 Kennedy half dollar truly becomes a gem, in its quality, its rarity, and its ability to transport collectors back to an era that shaped modern America. Now, let's look at why collectors have become so captivated by the 1982 Kennedy half dollar. For one, this coin represents a turning point in American coinage. It was one of the last years the Kennedy half dollar would be regularly struck in large quantities, and it carries with it the imprint of a nation in transition. The 1982 coin is a reminder of a time when Kennedy's image still dominated American coinage, and it symbolizes both the passage of time and the lasting impact of a president whose vision continues to influence the country today. But the real magic happens when collectors look at the coin through the lens of rarity and condition. Over time, certain versions of this coin, particularly those in pristine, uncirculated condition, have begun to surface in auctions and private sales, and when they do, they cause a stir. Collectors eagerly seek out these well-preserved pieces, knowing that they represent a unique intersection of history, art, and rarity. And it's not just the design that makes these coins valuable, it's their scarcity, their ability to tell the story of an era, and the fact that they have endured over the years without significant damage. A coin in mint state can be worth far more than its face value, and the 1982 Kennedy half dollar is no exception. As the years have passed, the demand for such coins has only increased. The allure of owning a piece of American history, a coin that was part of a significant time in the nation's story, makes it highly sought after. This sense of connection to the past, combined with the rarity of well-preserved coins, has driven the prices of these coins higher and higher. So, what is the value of a well-preserved 1982 Kennedy half dollar today? It's worth far more than just 50 cents. In fact, a coin in excellent condition can now fetch an impressive $140,000 at auction. This staggering price tag is not just a reflection of the coin's rarity, but also of its historical significance. A coin that once circulated widely as part of everyday transactions has, over the years, been transformed into a valuable piece of American heritage, a tangible connection to the past that collectors and history enthusiasts alike are willing to pay a premium for. The 2021 Kennedy half dollar P coin is a modern piece of American numismatic history that has caught the attention of collectors, despite its relatively recent production. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another standard issue, but there's more to it than meets the eye. In this video, we're diving deep into the intriguing story of the 2021 Kennedy half dollar P, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and why this seemingly ordinary coin has become a rare treasure. In 2021, the U.S. Mint produced a new batch of Kennedy half dollars, which, while still in circulation, are mostly collected by enthusiasts due to their limited use in everyday transactions. Half dollars have been in circulation for decades, but their use in day-to-day life has gradually diminished. Despite this, the Kennedy half dollar remains an enduring symbol of the American coinage system, and the 2021 version has managed to captivate collectors for a few unique reasons. First and foremost, the Philadelphia Mint struck the 2021 Kennedy half dollar, and it bears the mint mark, P. Coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint are often highly regarded by collectors for their craftsmanship and the historic significance of the mint itself. While the Philadelphia Mint is one of the oldest and most prominent in the United States, the mint mark on the 2021 coin signals the year in which it was made and adds another layer of rarity. Philadelphia has long been the home of many famous coins, and this 2021 Kennedy half dollar P coin, while not extremely rare in number, has become highly desirable to those who seek to own coins from particular years and mints. The reason for the coin's appeal lies not just in its mint mark or its design, but in the broader context of its production. In 2021, the world was still grappling with the effects of the global pandemic, and like many industries, the coinage industry was also impacted by the changes in commerce. With fewer coins circulating and the move toward digital currency, fewer half dollars found their way into regular use, and collectors turned their attention to the coins that were being released in limited quantities or perfect conditions. This created a unique opportunity for collectors to find high-quality versions of the 2021 Kennedy half dollar that had never been circulated. As collectors scoured for pristine, uncirculated examples, the demand for these coins grew. Coins in perfect condition, free from wear and discoloration, have always been in higher demand, and this coin was no exception. The 2021 issue was made in large quantities, but as it moved out of circulation and into the hands of collectors, the coin's value began to rise steadily. This is a trend we've seen before in the world of numismatics, where coins that may seem common at first glance end up being worth far more as time goes on and the supply diminishes. The design on the coin remained consistent with previous versions, continuing the legacy of the Kennedy half dollar. However, what really sets this 2021 edition apart is its context in American history. The coin was produced at a time when the economy was adjusting, and many coin collectors began to focus on more recent issues that might one day become valuable as they aged. While the 2021 Kennedy half dollar wasn't expected to be a rare item, the specific conditions under which it was minted, along with its untouched, pristine state, have led to its rise in value. Additionally, the coin features the classic reverse design, showcasing the heraldic eagle, with its wings spread wide, grasping an olive branch and arrows. This reverse has been featured on the Kennedy half dollar since its inception, making it a familiar and enduring emblem of U.S. strength and unity. It's this combination of modern-day production and a classic, time-tested design that makes the 2021 Kennedy half dollar P coin appealing to collectors who value both history and craftsmanship. As with all rare and valuable coins, the condition of the coin plays a pivotal role in determining its worth. Most 2021 Kennedy half dollars were released for general circulation, and many coins ended up in circulation, where they were used, scratched, or tarnished over time. However, the uncirculated versions, which remained in pristine condition, have become highly prized by collectors. These coins were either stored away or set aside for future collection, ensuring they were free from any signs of wear. Over time, these uncirculated specimens have become increasingly sought after, and their value has climbed significantly. Now, we arrive at the big question: what makes this coin worth $23,000 today? In the world of numismatics, the value of a coin is determined by a few key factors: rarity, condition, and demand. The 2021 Kennedy half dollar P coin was produced in large quantities, but the number of uncirculated specimens in perfect condition is relatively low. As time has passed, these coins have become harder to find in pristine form, and their scarcity has driven up their value. Coins that remain in perfect condition, free from damage and wear, are considered rarities, especially when they were once so readily available. In this case, the 2021 Kennedy half dollar P coin represents an excellent example of how coins can appreciate in value even after being released in large numbers. Collectors who are eager to complete their sets or those looking for high-quality coins are willing to pay a premium for these pristine specimens. What makes the 2021 Kennedy half dollar P coin so intriguing is that it shows how quickly the landscape of coin collecting can change. Coins that were once dismissed as unremarkable or simply a part of everyday life can become coveted treasures over time. The 2021 Kennedy half dollar is a testament to the world of modern numismatics, where even the most recent issues have the potential to skyrocket in value as the years go on. In conclusion, the 2021 Kennedy half dollar P coin has proven to be much more than a regular half dollar. Despite its mass production and initial circulation, this coin has garnered attention from collectors who appreciate its pristine condition, historical context, and minting details. With a current market value of $23,000, the coin has shown just how quickly a modern piece of currency can gain substantial value. As the years continue to pass, it will be fascinating to see how this coin's worth evolves, but for now, those who have one in excellent condition have certainly made a wise investment in their collection.